Greetings, Mavericks and new viewers. Tonight, direct and live from the Maverick News Network World Studios. This is Maverick News with Rick Walker.
The ostriches will die. The verdict is in. The government ordered, or CFIA, Canadian Food Inspection Agency, ordered cull of those ostriches out in Edgewood, British Columbia, will proceed. Well, maybe. Maybe not. We'll fill you in on the latest details when we come back with today's top news stories. Stay with me. We're also going to go to the phones. Give you guys a chance to weigh in on the conversation tonight. Internet's a little sluggish here, but we're going to make it work. I'll be right back.
Greetings, brave Mavericks. Our quest for truth continues. We go beyond fake news. Together we expose propaganda. Together we pull others out of rabbit holes. We are Maverick thinkers. We are all unique individuals, defenders of individual rights and freedoms, credible, trusted, grounded in reality. Maverick News. Defending free speech. Donate at freedomreporters.com. Do it now. Tomorrow may be too late. Maverick News. The world is watching.
Okay, so our lead story tonight, because we are Canadian, and this has been a story that we have covered fairly extensively, more than I would have cared to, honestly. But we covered it. We dug into it and gave you sides to the story that you, I don't think, really got anywhere else, at least not with the degree of thoroughness that we were able to provide here. The Universal Ostrich Farm has lost its appeal to save its birds from a Canadian Food Inspection Agency cull. The decision was released today by the Federal Court of Appeal. The case has attracted international attention. And of course, we have also seen intervention by U.S. politicians, including RFK Jr. The CFIA ordered the cull after some birds were, I think 69 birds died from avian flu. And when the CFIA showed up, of course, they ordered testing. So they did test two of the carcasses. Came back positive for a particular strain of avian flu. And then the politics started. And we've seen demonstrations. We've seen concert, farm aid. We've seen social media outbursts. And now we're seeing Katie Pasitny from the farm tonight crying again. Upset, I guess, that they have lost their appeal. This is all fresh news. Let's bring up this video. And even though they've lost this appeal, we are seeing here tonight that they are planning on continuing the fight. Okay, let's bring this up. Here we go. This was what she posted just within, I think, the last hour or so out in British Columbia.
Hi everyone, it's Katie with Universal Ostrich Farms. You've all watched. We have the verdict. I've had a little bit of time to compose myself and get a little bit more strength. And I think we just need to talk about a few topics. I've made a few notes, but you know what this means is our ostrich farm is a recovered flock. And if we lose that ability to be able to be a recovered flock and still have the ability to go through this process and have a loss like we have right now, and not be heard, you know, our flock destroyed in Canada loses a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to study antibodies that could fight not only the avian flu, but also other human and animal diseases along the way. That is being shielded from the world if this call does go out, and the stamping out and slaughter of these healthy animals, 219 days healthy. We have, there's, let's just go through a few of these things. I mean, it's going to confirm that farmers cannot defend their own animals with or test them independently, just like us being threatened 6 months in jail if we should test our own animals to prove the health of them, as well as the rights and the freedom to our land and our property rights of our animals, that these are our animals, not the government's animals. It confirms that, you know, the negative decision proves that the CFIA will prioritize the World Health Organization directives over Canadian sovereignty. And this is a really scary aspect of if this is allowed to go through.
So I'm not going to run the whole thing. We're going to open the phones up and you guys can weigh in on the conversation if you like. I can just refer back to a lot of the other material that we covered over weeks of covering that story. And here we are again tonight, still covering it. And it's much more complicated than that. So I'm going to take a break. We're going to come back on the other side and dig into some of the other top news stories, and then we'll go to the phones. Stay with me.
Maverick News. Fighting for freedom.
Okay, so also tonight, Prime Minister Mark Carney spoke with Donald Trump on the phone today as the effects of the Trump trade war against Canada continue to escalate. The two leaders, according to Carney's office today in a statement, say that it was a productive and wide-ranging conversation. And this came just hours after Anita Anand, the Foreign Affairs Minister for Canada, was in Washington to meet U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio. So in the statement from the Prime Minister's office, it says the leaders discussed current trade challenges, opportunities, and shared priorities in a new economic and security relationship between Canada and the U.S. And Russia's war with Ukraine also discussed. So Canada does still have some voice in that dispute. And the leaders also discussed how to build on the president's leadership to support long-term peace and security for Ukraine and Europe. That again in the statement from the Prime Minister's office today. So this phone call between Trump and Carney comes following the two and a signature on an executive order last month that raised tariffs on Canada to 35% on August 1st. And as a trade deal remains elusive, and we still have this August 29th deadline coming up. So we'll see where things go from there. And of course, whatever happens is still a prelude to what is going to come with larger negotiations surrounding the Canada-US-Mexico trade agreement, which is set to be renegotiated next year. There's also this interesting poll out tonight in the wake of Pierre Poilievre winning his by-election out in Alberta. CTV, with their headline in this Angus Reid poll, interesting poll, says that half of Canadians would be ashamed to call Pierre Poilievre Prime Minister. So according to this, it says here, despite a decisive by-election victory, Monday winning him back a seat in the House of Commons, Conservative leader Pierre Poilievre is coming up short in winning over Canadians nationwide. According to new numbers from the Angus Reid Institute, while 73% of Canadians view Poilievre as a strong critic of the government in his official role, 50% say they would be ashamed to call him Prime Minister. 52% of survey respondents also said they believe him to be insincere. According to the polling firm, both those latter figures have increased since December 2023, which was a little more than a year after Poilievre became leader of the party. Interesting poll. I'd say this maybe was commissioned by the Liberal Party. Depends on the kind of question you ask, what kind of an answer you get. The percentage of people who said they would be ashamed to call Poilievre Prime Minister is up 10 percentage points since late 2023. Poilievre has been Conservative leader since September 2022, when he won the leadership with a resounding first ballot victory. That leadership is up for a mandatory review vote at the end of next January. And during the April general election, of course, he lost his riding, and then he had to get out there and running that by-election in Alberta. They parachuted him in to that very safe Conservative riding at Battle River Crowfoot. Came in with 80.4% of the vote there. So he's on his way back to the House of Commons this fall. But the guns are already out for him, as you can see. And I would say, and this is just my opinion, I think that poll was loaded. Just a little bit on the biased side. Trump was in Washington, D.C. today, meeting with National Guard, met with law enforcement and National Guard troops out there in D.C. to tout his crackdown on crime. He says that, of course, what we saw J.D. Vance just yesterday claimed that crime is down about 35%. Here, let's pick up this NBC report. And then we're going to go to the phones. Here we go.
Anacostia Operations Facility in Washington, joining local police and National Guard troops ahead of their patrol in the city. It's all part of his so-called crime crackdown. He's there with Stephen Miller, his Deputy Chief of Staff, and Pam Bondi, the Attorney General. Let's go to Monica Alba, who's also tracking this movement by the president. Monica, give us the latest update.
Yeah, Ryan. So as you can see there are about 100 or more law enforcement personnel. I'll send it back to you to listen in here to the president.
Okay, let's see.
It's the capital. It's going to be the best in the world. We're going to do what you're doing with law enforcement, and very importantly also, we're going to physically do it. We're going back to Congress for some money, and we're going to redo a lot of the pavement, a lot of the medians, a lot of the graffiti's all coming off real fast. It's going to come down real fast. We're working with Clark Construction. They're one of the big ones. They're the biggest here by far, actually. And we're going to be not so much building, it's cleaning and fixing and redoing and putting brand new surfaces down on your roads and streets. And when people come in from the airport all the way to the Capitol or the White House or any place else they go, and they're going to say, boy, this place is spotless. So we're doing that. Most importantly, though, we're going to have a crowd of people that are going to be happy. You know, I've received more phone calls from people in the last 4 days than I ever have. I've been here now 4 years plus. And by the way, I think we had about the best 7 months, they're saying, that any president's had. We've done a lot of work. We've done a lot of good work, including the biggest tax cuts that you've ever had. I know you guys don't care about taxes, so you don't care about saving a little tax, but you saved a lot of tax, actually. But we've had a great period of time. But I've never received so many phone calls thanking me for what we've done in Washington, D.C., from people that haven't gone to a restaurant literally in 4 years. And they said, you know, what you've done it's unprecedented, because what they said, it was just unsafe. We couldn't do it. We'd go out and you'd see the stories, you'd read the stories, you'd see all of the things that are happening. And they said, we couldn't stand it, sir. And now I take my wife and my kids to dinner. One of them said he's gone out 4 nights in a row, and he hadn't gone out for 4 years. So it's a great tribute to you. And when I look at you people, I understand why, because there's no games, right? We're not playing games. We're going to make it safe. And we're going to then go on to other places. But we're going to stay here for a while. We want to make this absolutely perfect. It's our capital. And I guess it used to be many years ago safe, but it's certainly not had a very good run. And you got to be strong, you got to be tough, you got to do your job. Whatever it takes to do your job, you got to do your job. But the crime numbers are way down. I'm looking at, you saw some of the stats, they just read them out to me inside, the numbers that we haven't seen here ever, actually ever. And I think it's probably, right now, to me, I feel very safe now, and I'm hearing people are very safe, but I know within 2 weeks, it's going to be, Pam, it's going to be at a level that's even far superior. So I just wanted to thank you all. You're doing incredible. You're incredible people. You make the country run, frankly. You make the whole place run. We're going to have the best Capitol ever. We're going to have it's going to look better than it ever did. Even at the White House, I'm building a ballroom. They've been after a ballroom for 150 years, but they never had a real estate guy as a president. You know, I've done a lot of ballrooms, and we're going to make this one the best of them all. But we're doing a real job. As far as the country's concerned, we're respected again. We had a country that was laughed at a year ago. They thought they couldn't understand what was happening, and it's about leadership. But we had a country that was a dead country in many ways. I went to Saudi Arabia. I went to Qatar. I went to UAE. We came back with $5.1 trillion of investment in this country. And we're over 17 trillion. Now, a lot of you don't know what that means. And nobody knows what it means because it's never happened before. In 5 months, because really it's a 5-month, even though we're here 7, but we started 5 months ago in terms of investment. And we have, because they see what's happened to our country, we're going to be over 17 trillion with a T, dollars of investment. There's never been anything close. If we did 1 trillion in a year, and we're talking about over a 5-month period, maybe 6 months if you look at it, but over $17 trillion. We're building plants, auto plants, AI plants, all sorts of plants all over the country. I'm giving them the right. Lee Zeldin's done a fantastic job. We give them the right to build electric plants. They become almost like a public utility because we have old grids. We have a lot of stuff that's old. We wouldn't be able to compete with China AI. And now we're totally leading the AI race. And the artificial intelligence, it's a big deal. And it's the hottest thing there is for probably in 35, 40 years. It's a lot of people don't know what it is. Just trust me, it's very hot. It's big. but they need massive amounts of electricity. They need more electricity than we have right now in the whole country servicing everything. In other words, we have to at least double it up to be competitive and to be leading. And we're more than doubling it up. And what I'm doing is I'm letting all of these very rich companies, and they've got nothing but they got a lot of money, and they want to invest it in the United States, and they're building big plants, but they're building electric plants with it. I said, you build your building, and these are buildings that cost 30, 40, 50 billion dollars when you include everything that's inside, all the technology. I said, I'm going to let you build electric plants to fire your own electricity, and anything that you have left over, you sell it back into the grid. So all of these big factories that are being built are building their own electric plants fired by oil and gas. They're not fired by wind, by the way, because wind doesn't work, but we won't say that. It destroys everything. It looks terrible. It's a very expensive form of energy. And we're not doing wind. We're going back to fossil fuel. I hope not too many of you people are going to be upset, but we have to go back to what works. We can't be
Okay,
foolish.
we'll continue to monitor President Trump's remarks here as he is talking to some of the law enforcement officers and National Guard troops that have brought in as part of his crackdown on crime in Washington, D.C. But his remarks have now gotten a little off track as he's talking.
Really off track? Donald Trump? How could that be? Not Donald Trump. What? I'm scratching my head. I'm wide-eyed, and I'm questioning the numbers. $17 trillion in investment because of tariffs. $17 trillion in investment. We can dig into that as part of the call-in program if you like. I don't think so. He's there he goes again, just making stuff up. Time to go to the phones. Let's get that number cranked up here. Where's the info on the number? Here we go. I'll open the lines now. Okay, Mavericks, it's call-in time. Join the conversation. Call 1-647-734-4220. Then enter the PIN number 860-075-764, followed by the pound sign. Exercise your right to free speech. Call 1-647-734-4220. Then enter the PIN number 860-075-764, followed by the pound sign. Call 1-647-734-4220. Then enter the PIN number 860-075-764, followed by the pound sign. Maverick News. Call now. The world is watching and listening to you. Okay, we have our first caller on the line. Let me get our first caller up. Hang on one moment while I click on all the things that need to be clicked on to get the phones fired up. And here we go. Who's on the line? You're first up tonight.
That would be Rimby John out of the great Alberta. How are you tonight, sir?
I'm just fine, John. How are you tonight, Mr. Alberta?
Wonderbar. We're 22, 24 today. It's pretty nice.
Well, that's
pretty
great.
awesome.
Good for you. Yeah, beautiful day here in Ontario land, too.
So what's cooking tonight, boys and girls?
Well, we've got the ostrich thing, and I have to tell you, I'm amazed and in shock at the number that I just heard from Donald Trump about the amount, the investment, the level of investment coming into the United States because of tariffs. There's no flipping way that tariffs have generated $17 trillion in investment. Do you know what the GDP, total GDP of the United States is annually? Anybody? Dragon, is
What's
that
the
you?
number?
Yeah, it's me, and I'll guess it's about 3 billion.
No. Way more than that.
Trillion.
It's in the trillions. Anybody?
Five trillion.
No,
US.
it's much more than that. It's about $30 trillion.
Oof.
Okay, but so to say that tariffs are attracting $17 trillion in investment, that's like half of the US economy in terms of output every year. All within like 6 or 7 months. I don't
Well,
think
Rick,
so.
that's not just tariffs. Trump is talking about a small portion of it is tariff. That's actual investment from Saudi, Qatar, UAE. I mean, that's investment on his Middle East trips.
Yeah,
the
right into his
majority of that.
bank account.
Well,
There's no way. $17 trillion? No.
Or there's something that he's not divulging to people and basically hiding. Like, I don't
Let's see
know,
here.
maybe a few bank account into places where there's no tax income into it.
So to put this in perspective, the entire US GDP is about $30 trillion. So 17 trillion in investment would represent more than half of the economy. That really stretches credibility, guys. The White House has reported 5.1 trillion in pledged investments. Okay, with 4.3 trillion. I just looked up some numbers here. 4.3 trillion being newly pledged, primarily from corporate announcements and commitments from countries like Japan, Saudi Arabia, and, as John mentioned, the UAE. But even that figure, which is significantly lower than $17 trillion, includes some caveats. We've got pledges spread over years or decades. Some predate Trump's term, so it's stuff he's taking credit for that he wasn't responsible for, had nothing to do with. That would be Biden stuff, or maybe even before his first term. And others might not materialize fully because of their aspirational nature. Like, these are pie in the sky ideas. So what I'm looking at here, actual investments coming in are probably closer to about $2 trillion. And that's from independent corporate sources and economic think tanks. 17 trillion. This guy just makes stuff up. No, I'm sorry.
Well,
there's just no way.
Come on, Rick. Rickster, give the orange orangutan a break. He's good at two things. That's ex-wives and going bankrupt. He's not good in the numbers department, bro. And don't take it away from the Trumpster. Had a big win today. There's a very upset black American lady in New York today by the name of Letitia James. She just got her $500 million fine tossed out in the garbage bin by the federal appeal court in favor of Trumpster.
Well, Trump always makes controversy, and controversy makes money. That's the way he does. That's always been his MO. So I think that's what you get, right? I mean, you can make that up, right? I'm sure that the number that Rick gave us as probably more is more official than the 17 trillion that he has gave us. I mean, Jesus Christ, this is too much.
It doesn't take much to have more credibility than Donald Trump, though, guys. I'm not.
Now, guys, don't forget the ballroom he's building. Come on now, give him a little
the ballroom. Yeah,
I'm excited for the. What is it? It's an MMA fight, right? A mixed martial arts fight that they're having. Isn't it an MMA bout that they're going to have in the White House?
Is it?
Yeah, I think so.
I don't know.
Dana White. Yeah, it was confirmed. I'm not sure what the date is for it, but it's just this. And even today, this thing in Washington D.C., what he did. You see the way he's walking around with a microphone. It's like reality TV.
It's The Apprentice on steroids. Come on, boys and
Yeah.
girls.
It's just that's what it is. This is reality television. His administration.
It's a White House.
Mostly
It's a White House on steroids.
Oh yeah.
All right, it's got to be on July 4 of 2026. So in about a year from now.
If he lasts that long and doesn't keel over with a McDonald's heart attack.
If anybody else wants to call in, the number is 1-647-734-4220, and then just punch in the PIN number when you're prompted, 860-075-764, followed by the pound sign. I'll leave it up on the screen so you can see it, and then you'll know how to call in and join the conversation. So,
Rick and Dragon, we're waiting. I'm closest to the ostrich fiasco. We're waiting with bated breath for this Navy SEALs to swoop in with the billionaire oil guy and Dr. Oz to scoop up those ostriches and take them down to Florida.
Yeah. Yeah, they're gonna come in and extricate them, right? They're gonna save the ostriches. Yeah.
Well, Rick, why was she
Airlift
crying? That daughter, why was she crying on her video? Did they snatch the Oscar award for Actress of the Year out of her hand? Is that what she is an actress?
Well, she seems to cry on cue. I don't mean to be insensitive, but this whole thing is absurd.
It's a clown show.
They did turn it into that. There was a circus, wasn't it? I mean, it really was.
Yeah, with a big dose of fraud in between everything for several years, I think. Yeah. Allegedly.
It's interesting, to see that even the mainstream media kind of treating this with a soft touch at times. Even tonight, as I look at the CBC coverage, they're actually being fairly kind to the owners of the farm out there. And I don't think that the way that the information is being portrayed is not really, in my view, even with this mainstream media coverage, I don't think that it is in proper perspective. I think it's skewed largely in favor of the farm, because I'm just looking here, and like this CBC, I'll show you the story that CBC wrote about it. And there's one thing in here that I really took note of. And this is why I took exception to a lot of the coverage and a lot of what the people at the farm were saying as well throughout this whole thing. So here's the CBC story. And if you scroll down, it says here, attracted international attention, and then you get down lower. And all it says, the CFIA ordered the cull after 2 dead birds at the farm tested positive for avian flu. What they don't mention is that they had 69 birds die.
That's it. Exactly my thought.
So
yeah, but Dragon and Rick, I'm still looking for any of the videos that you've shown on Maverick or any of the major news channels showing the ostriches. I've only ever been able to really count maybe 49 or 50. Where's the other 450? Like, there's no way there's 500 ostriches there, guys.
Well, they say there are 219 out there now. That was the number that she came up with today. 219. Oh no, I'm sorry. It's 219 days healthy. I'm sorry. And yeah, it's how many is it? How many is it supposed to be?
Around 500. 479 Dragon with the 23 missing, sold off.
Sorry.
Weren't you 479, Rick, the last count on your last Maverick show with the 23 that went missing?
There's been some time that has passed, so I can't recall exactly. I'd have to immerse myself in the information again to have it all come back to me. Yeah, it was around.
If my memory is correct, it was around 429.
something, four something dragon. You're in the range, 430, 460. Yeah.
430 ish.
I'll see if I can
Uncounted.
find out.
It's kind of weird, but yeah, there's something fishy in there, guys.
I mean, in any of those video guys, you can't
Yeah.
count more than maybe 45 or 50 ostriches at the best of times. So where's the other allegedly 400 or 390, 380? Where are they? I don't think they exist.
It's a good question. I've never seen like a giant flock of 400 or whatever you call them. So about 400. That's what's being reported elsewhere tonight. And it's a unanimous decision by the court because the science that they're citing is not really valid, as we pointed out here. And I gave information showing why that the science that they're citing out at the farm just does not hold. These claims that they have natural immunity and that they have these antibodies and they can save humanity and all of this, like there's no proof of that. They really just they're saying these things, but these are claims not backed up by any valid studies at this point. And they also the other thing that they were just so disingenuous about so much of what went on out there. When CTV went most recently to do a story, I think it was, one of the people at the farm shot video of the whole interview from the side, and then they released that, and that was supposed to keep everybody honest. And when I watched that interview in its entirety, what I got out of it was that the farm owner, I think it was Katie Pasitny, was doing the interview, and she wasn't really she was being very selective in the information again that she was giving them, and she wasn't painting an accurate picture again, because she didn't talk about what the birds were injected with, that the experimentation out there was really focused on COVID research, not bird flu research. And they're conflating the two as if to say that because the birds survived, that they have these antibodies for against bird flu, when all the research that they've been doing out there has really been related to COVID, not bird flu. So they don't have any science. They don't have any studies that they've cited dealing with bird flu, which is what they're trying to use to say that the birds should be spared. There is no science. There aren't even any. That's not even what they were studying. Not to mention, they don't really have a controlled environment in which to conduct these experiments. And it's just, like I said, I'm going to open my own open air biolab in my backyard and then get myself some of them antigens that apparently you can get down at the Shoppers Drug Mart, according to Dr. Stephen Pellick. But when I went to get it, I wasn't able to. And you know, one of the real reasons they're in trouble out there is because it came to light that they are deeply in debt because they purchased a lot of these antigens from that university in Japan. And so they're on the hook for that bill. And now the research, or whatever they were doing, they're calling it research, it goes right out the window, you see. So
yeah, but I mean, Rick, they don't even own the property anymore. Haven't they rented back the main farm?
All kinds of really weird things going on out there. And yeah,
well, maybe Dr. Oz. Well, maybe they can talk to Dr. Oz and he can speed dial them into the Oval Office in the White House and talk to the orange orangutan over free advice on how to go bankrupt.
Well, hey, we've seen statements from John Catsimatidis, the owner of WABC Radio. He also is the largest importer of Alberta oil, John, from the United States, his oil company. And he also owns that supermarket chain out in New York State. And That is, I think, why he's so interested, honestly, in the ostriches, because it has everything to do with poultry and the food industry. He says it's because he's an animal lover, but I think maybe it has more to do with access to the Canadian market and agribusiness, which relates obviously to grocery stores and grocery store chains, food supply, access to the Canadian market, access to the poultry industry, access to Canadian poultry, and maybe supplying his supermarket chain with poultry, aligning Canadian Food Inspection Agency policy with FDA policy on the US side when it comes to the poultry industry, and Trump talking about tariffs and poultry. It's one of these major agribusiness issues related to the tariffs. There's more going on here than meets the eye.
Well, I mean, Rick, it's
Well,
straight up,
I would suggest-
foreign interference.
Yeah,
Well,
yeah.
I would suggest that there's also a corporative aspect to it.
100%. Yes. Yep.
Where's Kennedy in all this lately? With this, the Dr. Oz and the
Well, we'll have to
billionaire
see,
Will
John,
Wilson.
because they're, these guys, I think that they'll resurface. They'll come out with statements of some kind anyway. I think now that we have this court decision, which I think they delayed maybe for political reasons, because they saw that this was a hot issue. It was in the news cycle, so they let it die down a little bit. Now they've released the decision, as everything has been sort of dormant on the news front for a couple of weeks, 3 weeks maybe, and now just release the decision and we'll see what happens. But Castamatidis has said that he's willing to fund this thing all the way to the Supreme Court. I wouldn't be surprised if he coughs up a big chunk of money just to bail out the farm at this point, because this has become political. He's driving it. There is money on the US side influencing everything going on out there at that farm. Make no mistake of that. We know that there's an unnamed US funder for this protest. We don't know who it is, but it's a substantial amount of money, and it appears to be somebody other than Mr. Catsimatidis, the multi-billionaire from New York, who weighed in on this and has been directly involved and has brought the power of WABC radio out of New York City to bear on this, because he controls that big powerhouse radio station in New York, which broadcasts also right into Canada as well. There's so much going on here, man. This is not just about the ostriches.
Well, Rick and Dragon, let's put the shoe on the other foot. If a Canadian went down to the States and monkeyed around in this sort of stuff, reverse the situation, you'd have a flipping shotgun in your face. I mean, they wouldn't put up with this for 1 New York minute, these rapacious capitalist Americans who tell us to go home. So why are they? It's straight up foreign interference, is it not, guys?
I think so, John. It's an assault on Canadian sovereignty. Yeah, I think so, because you have Dr. Oz involved with the Trump administration, RFK Jr. You have Catsimatidis, who's a funder of Trump, right? You have, who was the other guy that weighed in on this thing? Well, Dr. Oz said that the ostriches could go to his farm down in Florida. So I say, have at it.
But aren't you glad you don't own an acreage next to Dr. Oz?
Oh my. Yeah. I don't think his neighbors would be too happy to learn that all the ostriches that were infected with bird flu and injected repeatedly with antigens for COVID research that came to live next door. I don't know about you, but I don't really want to be living next to them. And I don't think but there are a lot of people out in Edgewood, BC. A lot of the neighbors out there I know are not happy with what's been going on out at that farm too.
But I mean, guys, Kennedy must have Donald Trump, the orange orangutan. He must have Trump's full green light support from the Oval Office on this, because Kennedy doesn't do anything without the approval from the orangutan.
I would think so. Yes, I would think so.
That's a good point too. And there's another point I would probably put there. I think that, well, this is where you have Trump when he was stating that he wanted to subsidize Canada. Would it be possible to, well, maybe not possible, but in his far-fetched mind, he would have tried to, well, do it into a, say, corporative way. That's exactly what he was trying to do. And I mean, that would also be part of the plan if that could be possible for him to do. But I don't think it's going to hold water much, if you know what I mean.
Well, guys, let's go back in the time machine, please, Lord, to the days of Sleepy Joe Biden and the ice cream parlor, and they left Canadians alone.
Yeah, I'm not going to go to Delaware for some ice cream. I got it in my freezer.
Okay, we have another caller coming in. And who's on the line with us?
Rick, how are you tonight?
Excellent, sir. How are you, Laurie?
Not too bad. We haven't had a call in a while.
Yeah, I haven't for a little while. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm the guy that mentioned mentioned about the T-shirts over on Rumble 2 and brought them back up again. And I just wondered, Rick, like, right from we went through 4 years of having Donald Trump as the president of the United States, and you were supporting him. And we went through January the 6th, and you were still supporting him. And last year at around this time, you were still supporting him, and you were selling T-shirts. And then all of a sudden, you changed, and you don't seem to be a big Trump fan anymore.
Yeah.
I'd like to know what changed your mind.
Lots of things, Laurie. That's a very complicated question. And it's not like just one single thing. It's a combination of stuff. And, you know, I think it's also, I think there's something has happened out there to people, including myself, where, especially during the pandemic, there was a certain blindness that overtook people. You know, fueled partly by emotion, also because I think the way the information is being fed to people on social media, it conditions you. It's an excellent question. I don't have a singular answer.
I try to when I phone in, I try to ask a good question.
Mm-hmm. No, it's very valid. You know, I see.
Like, when did you turn the corner, Rick? Was that when we got to the tariffs? Because all the way through Trump's campaign, he told us that he was going to tear up everything.
Well, see, when he was talking about tariffs, even during his first administration, and I had a conversation actually with Johnny from Toronto about this, and as I viewed tariffs, what I expected from Trump through his bombastic comments, and you know, he tends to exaggerate about things. The way I thought the tariffs would be applied would be sort of selective, so that he would target, say, China for certain things to try to bring industry back. Never did I expect that he would go as far as he has gone, basically going to war with the world in a worldwide trade war, using tariffs as his singular weapon in the way that he has in this very destructive way.
Why do you think that he centered out Canada? So I'm going to make it say, why did he make it so difficult for us who had a trade agreement in place with him?
Because you know, and it isn't even just what Trump has done that has changed my view on this. It's because of what Russia has been doing. It's because of what I've seen go on in Ukraine. It's because of what I've seen go on in Gaza. It's because of the people he has surrounded himself with this administration. It's the way that he has also attacked Canada. Certainly, that's been a huge wake-up call for me. When I started to see people around him like Tucker Carlson saying things like, if you go back and you look at my programs, when Tucker Carlson was saying, we're coming to liberate Canada, that was another red flag for me. Well, everyone, a lot of most other people were laughing about it, saying he's just joking. I was like, I don't think he's joking. And when I started to read,
I can go back to your shows with your blonde girlfriend there, and this is going right back to.
Well, let me state very clearly that Lori Spencer was not, never has been, nor shall she ever be my girlfriend.
You're married.
Okay, I'm just being smart here, right?
Yeah, okay.
But I can remember
fair enough, but she's not here,
came
and I'm sure that she wouldn't want to be associated with me that way. So let's be
Well,
fair to
Oh,
Lori.
Come on, Rich, don't sell yourself short.
any resemblance between her and a legitimate journalist is completely an accident, if you want to know what I think. But I can remember you having her on your program, and the two of you were talking about, with Russia invading, how they were going to denazify the Ukraine.
Yeah.
You remember that, Rick?
I do.
Yeah.
Well, Lori, it's Rimby John. Can I jump in quick for you, Lori?
Sure, go right ahead,
Well,
John.
Lori, I mean, Lori, a lot of the Maverick family were major Trump supporters on the first administration. And then the second one, we were on board. But I can tell you, I'm part American, and my American relatives in Minnesota that are diehard Republicans are incredibly disappointed with how Trump has treated Canada and Mexico, and they'd never vote for him again. I mean, I think, Lori, honestly, half of Trump's major MAGA Republican base has left him because he's kind of turned on a lot of people. They didn't vote to put Adolf Hitler 2025 in the White House. And that's what it appears to. He's picked a fight with literally everybody around the world, Lori. Why Canada?
How did your relatives in Minnesota ever get past January the 6th?
Well, they did. They looked at it. They viewed it a different way than the Democrats. Very different.
And frankly, so did I. And that again is because I think, Lori, you know, it's the information that we're being fed online through media. So, you know, I'm assessing things all the time, but the algorithms feed you certain stuff. They feed me certain stuff. It skews your perspective, especially if you're inclined to think a particular way. And once they kind of get you going down a road, it's taken me some time to, I think we're in a lot of trouble, frankly, when it comes to media right now and the way people are processing information, the way that people are being manipulated. I worry about myself every night, constantly, whether what I'm processing is true or not true.
And you know, Lori, in fairness, I've got lots of contacts in the United States, Republicans, and half of them would never vote for him again, Trump, because they felt they were really, really misled and lied to. And they didn't know Trump would be as extreme as he's been.
Well, what do you think, John? How do you think they were misled? I mean, you know, I understand that there's, you know, we've got some trade going on right across the border from you in Montana, and that things are difficult out there moving stuff back and forth across the border, whereas not too long ago we had fairly open trade with them.
Well, we did back, Lori, in the days of Sleepy Joe Biden.
You know why you are so confused, and I'm saying that as a general for the people, why we are so confused and things are going so, say, up the chart, if you will. It's because it's just the information warfare. It's the conditioning that we are having from the propaganda, and it's just hard to dissociate or say have a sort of individuation process in our mind of what is true or not, like Rick said earlier.
And you can ask these questions if. Sorry, go ahead, Laurie.
Dragon, I'm not confused. I'm stating my opinion.
I'm not saying that you're confused, you personally, but people in general. Why we are so confused? It's probably because of that system. How the information is being fed to us.
Well, and Laurie, here's another thing. Laurie, Trump is supposed to be a businessman. You can't have a tariff on today, off tomorrow, and be doing that around the world. The stock market's been up and down because of Trump's mishandling of everything and his mixed messages. I mean, Canada's the largest trading partner of the United States, and they're treating us like we're gum on the bottom of their shoe. And Mexico doesn't work. It's insulting.
Well, we may have put ourselves in that situation over the course of 30 plus years of free trading, but
fair ball.
You know,
we got too reliant. We negotiated a trade deal that was signed in 2018, and we thought we were safe. And even through his entire campaign in the fall, we heard nothing about tariff, nothing else but tariffs. And I mean, a normal person could see that from a mile away where he was going to step up first. And I can't see how people can be deceived.
But I mean, Laurie, this was the greatest Trump deal of all time, the new NAFTA agreement of 2018, and he's ripped and torn up his own deal and pooped all over Canada and Mexico, and it doesn't work. Can't treat people like that.
I realize that. I never treated people like that when I was in business.
No, I don't think you did, because you're a nice, honest, probably upstanding guy.
Well, I ain't so nice, but I'm honest.
I think you're a pretty nice guy, Laurie. I think that what you're saying is valid. I have no issues with you trying to hold my feet to the fire, which you are, and that's all cool. But I think that there was a certain effectiveness that came with their information campaign. They disarmed us. I found it hard to believe, from the very beginning, that Donald Trump, this guy that we'd seen on television and heard so much about all these years as a celebrity, would, could possibly be colluding with the Russians. It's got to be a hoax. Who would Donald Trump? He's Mr. America. It just, a lot of the stuff did seem crazy. And yet now, after all this time, as things unfold, you get a larger perspective, especially in this administration. The Trump 1.0, he was surrounded by some people that I think helped keep him in check, including people like Mike Pence. And you can ask these same questions of Mike Pence. Mike, why did you support Donald Trump? Why did you agree to be his VP? But in the end, on January 6th, Mike Pence did, I think, what he had to do. And honestly, I think he did do the right thing. And I've said many times on this program that Mike Pence seems to be a pretty solid guy, but not popular within MAGA because he stood up to Trump. But in the end, I think he did the right thing.
Yeah, well, again, though, Rick, holding your feet to the fire last October, you were selling Trump T-shirts.
Yeah. So
you're reflecting on Mike Pence and him standing up and doing the right thing, and then you're supporting this guy right to vote. I mean,
Sorry, I'm not sure where you're going. You've got an issue with the T-shirts?
Well, I do with the fact that so many things that went on between Trump 1 and Trump 2, and right up until last year, with everything that went on, you were basically still supporting him by selling the T-shirts. We had 34 convictions. He was adjudicated as a rapist. He took the documents to Mar-a-Lardo there, and yet you were still on his side last October.
Well, so Rick changed his mind. What's wrong with that? Rick has become educated like the rest of us.
If you go back and look at what I did with those T-shirts, I said that those T-shirts would be the first in a series of shirts marking significant news events. And that was certainly a significant news event at the time. It was the shirts themselves, you know, for supporters of Trump, yeah, they would buy those shirts, and there were lots of them made and available out there in the marketplace. And that's why I did it. It wasn't meant to be an endorsement of Trump, and I've made it clear that we don't endorse candidates here. I do say I will editorialize and come out and say if I think something is something I'm in favor of or against, and I do offer my opinion on things, but I never, ever endorsed Donald Trump, nor did I ever endorse RFK Jr., even though we provided extensive coverage of his campaign from the earliest days and right through. I then came out and became very critical of him, and I continue to be very critical of RFK Jr. But I've also said complimentary things, especially early on in his campaign. But again, as things carried on and more information became available and more of the craziness kind of came out, I called it that too. But I've never endorsed any of the candidates. I've been very critical of some, anti-endorsing them in a way, but I never endorsed Donald Trump.
And if I may say something real quick, even as a human being or as a journalist, we do sometimes, agree on things, and along the way or along the journey, we change ideas and stance once in a while. And it's totally normal. Sometimes we just agree on something on paper at the first glance, which look cool, but after a step back, after years or after a moment, you realize that there's something wrong and you can change your stance. It's totally normal, I think. There's nothing wrong in changing stance or changing ideas along the way.
Yeah,
I was
no, not at all.
never a big Trump fan. And I mean, I did respect the guy at a certain point, but then lost respect back again with what he did. So.
But Dragon, you're not a journalist. You're an influencer. You are not. You've never been a day in journalism school. You're an influencer. You got podcasting. You got an opinion like I do. I'm not a journalist out of Alberta. I've got an opinion.
I don't count myself as an influencer, but that's probably.
Well, you're not a journalist, Dragon. You're not. You've never been to journalism school. You're a podcaster that you have an opinion. You're an influencer like I am out of Alberta. I'm not a journalist.
He can be a journalist, John. The journalism comes in many forms, and Dragon is trying to practice journalism. I think he is practicing journalism. He's writing his Substack, and he's getting better at it all the time, and he's trying to develop his craft. So, yeah,
that's true. So I think it's still something in the work, like Rick have said, and yeah, thanks, because it proves the point where I can be a journalist if I want to, and you too, John. You just need to put the hat once in a while in your boots and take the camera and just do the thing.
I'm not a journalist, Dragon. I'm not a journalist, Dragon, and I never claimed to be. I have a very opinionated opinion from Alberta. I'm a boots on the ground influencer. Love me, hate me, whatever. I call it the way I see it from an Alberta point of view, but I'm not a journalist.
Okay. You don't have to be if you don't want to be. I won't force you.
Well, I didn't go to journalism school.
Well, you
I'm
don't
not a
have to go to
journalist.
journalism school to be a journalist, but we don't need to get into the nitty gritty of this tonight. It's
Well, Lori, I wanted to ask you one question, Lori. The one thing Trump has done, let's talk about the white elephant in the room. Trump, with his 51st state rhetoric that started out as a joke, Trump single-handedly has reignited the separation movement out of Alberta and Saskatchewan. That's a Trump thing. Trump ripped the Band-Aid off the arm of Alberta on the National Energy Program. So you can give the guy credit for that one.
Do you really believe that the majority of people in Alberta and Saskatchewan would like to leave?
Absolutely, big time. We should have left 50 years ago. We're tired of being mistreated. And you voted Ontario and Quebec. You put Mark Carney in, not the West. He's your prime minister, not mine.
Sure,
It doesn't work.
Well, you can say whatever you like there, but he's voted in and he's the prime minister of Canada.
When I'm paying all the bills, Lori, out of Alberta, and I have 6 Senate seats, it doesn't work for anybody in Alberta, Saskatchewan, Manitoba, or BC. Doesn't work. Doesn't work. It's not fair.
What do you think about your buddy Pierre there that lost his riding in Ottawa and had to get parachuted into tumbleweed out there and kiss cattle to get himself elected?
Yeah, he kissed a lot of cattle farmers and ranchers and oilmen. Yeah, absolutely. So what's your point, Lori, on it?
Well, no, I'll tell you what my point is, and it's only my opinion here, John, is that if you folks choose to go, then go down the route and go.
We are doing it. We're voting on it in 2026.
Good luck. I wish you luck.
Well, you're sitting in Ontario. That's fair ball. You have an Ontario opinion, but you're not sitting in Alberta. I've been in Alberta 110 years. And we should have
I have a
50 years
Canadian
ago.
opinion?
Yeah, and I'm not a Canadian, Lori. I'm an Albertan first, and then I'm a Canadian. You can be both.
Well, that tells me exactly what I'm dealing with here, John.
Yeah, I'm tired of being mistreated.
Coast to coast.
I'm tired of being mistreated and paying all the bills in Canada with Ontario. I'm tired of it. No more money for you. No more transfer money.
You don't seem to realize that Eastern Canada carried you guys through the Dust Bowls back in the 30s and carried you all the way up to the 70s. And where do you think the money came from to develop the tar sands?
You've been paid back a billion times for that.
It didn't come from downtown Calgary. It came from.
You've been paid back a billion times for that, and you sound like a bleeding heart Indigenous person. Never enough. Never enough.
John.
Pardon me?
John. You know, John, during the Depression, the majority of farmers in Alberta were on the verge of bankruptcy. They were like the whole province was about to go under. And it was Eastern Canada, Ontario, Quebec. The federal government changed legislation in 1936 so that more federal money would be sent to Alberta to bail out Alberta farmers that were in dire straits. The whole province was in deep, deep trouble.
My family was not in dire straits in 1930.
Lori is absolutely right, and you should go learn your history, your Canadian Alberta history, and educate yourself on that front, because it was the rest of Canada that carried Alberta through. He's quite right up to the 1970s.
How much more money do you want to steal from Alberta? How much?
We don't steal
another 100 billion
from Alberta.
How much? How much more do you want from us?
How much do you want, John?
Quebec will never drill into their oil and gas reserves as long as they can suck the oil tit out of Alberta. Dry.
Okay.
That's a fact. That's a fact.
Mhm.
How much more money do you want from Alberta? How much more do you want? Another $1 trillion? How much? How much?
How about
Put a number
17
on.
trillion? Since
Well,
that's just
how
a number
much?
that came up today from Trump, there's a good number. How about you send us out 17 trillion? That'd be a
Well,
good
I
one.
think we've more than paid any debt that we owe, 1 billion times over.
Yeah. Okay.
1 billion times over. No, I just want to let you know, John, that I'm a Canadian from coast to coast, from Newfoundland right to Vancouver Island.
Yeah.
And we got to make these changes. Sure, if you
Well,
want
good
changes,
for you,
they have
Lori.
to be.
Then you would have no issue giving Alberta a fair deal. That's all Alberta wants is a fair
What's your
deal.
fair
Treat
deal,
us fairly.
John? Tell me, what's the
Treat
fair
us-
deal that you don't have?
Treat us fairly.
What do you want?
Treat us fairly with
What's
some
fair?
dignity and equity.
Lay it out. Give me the fair deal.
Well, fair is $70 billion a year not going down east. That's staying in Alberta. No more transfer payments.
No more
Stop.
transfer payments. So you don't want to pay, you don't want to contribute to the country.
No, because we're leaving. We're going to be our own standalone nation.
Okay. And how are you going to get your oil to market?
How are we going to what?
How are you going to get your oil to market once you're independent?
We'll figure it out.
You'll
I'm not
figure it out.
concerned.
So you still need to get it to market. So you're still going to need some pipelines. Still going to have to either go across Canada or you're going to have to go, more into the United States. The U.S. is kind of screwing you right now because they don't even pay you fair market value for the oil that they
going
that they
across
purchase from you.
Canada hasn't really worked, has it?
Well, what is being an independent country in the center, landlocked? What's that going to solve when it comes to your pipelines? How's that going to solve that?
Well, I'm not concerned about that. It'll work itself out.
It'll work itself out. So
You've all
you're just
blocked the
going to
pipelines in this country.
So you think that you become independent and then magically pipelines get built from east to west?
Well, we've already got stuff down south.
South.
You won't
But
let
I
us
got a
build
question.
anything east.
So?
You won't let us build anything east.
You won't let us. We're working on that, John. You have
You
have
are.
You just got
pipeline
two
going west.
victories going west. You got two pipelines going west
That's
now.
right.
No, when Rick was talking a pipeline going east into Ontario. That's never going to happen.
Oh,
When do you want
I
to
got a
come to
question for
Ontario
John.
anyway? You're going to separate.
Yeah.
No,
If-
Rick is talking about pipelines down east. Well, you block everything.
What do
we're
you think is
trying
going to
do.
happen to these pipelines going through British Columbia? What do you think they're going to do when you separate? You think that's free?
Well, we'll make a deal with them. It's easier to deal with somebody from BC than it is anybody down east.
Well, it's assuming that they're still part of Canada, you're still going to have to deal with the federal
Assuming.
government.
But I got a great question for John. If you
Ask away.
separate and become your own country, meaning that you don't become the 51st state, what would
Well,
be
that's a good.
listen. What would be the political system that you would like to use? Because I don't think parliamentary would be good, or a Westminster sort of system. Maybe anarchy, or what would it be? Autocracy? I don't know. Tell me.
Probably the one possibility is a republic. And I can tell you guys, anybody I talk to in Alberta and Saskatchewan, we're not interested at all in being part of the 51st state in the United States. We want to be sovereign on our own.
What are you going to do for a currency, John? What are you going to do for defense?
Well, we'll pay
What are
for
you
our
going
own
to do
defense,
for a
Lori, with
railroad
our
that
own money.
runs east and west?
Pay for your.
We'll figure that out. We'll pay for our own defense, Lori. We don't need you down in Ontario.
Have at her, buddy.
Yeah, we don't need you for anything in Ontario.
You're going to buy yourselves some F-35 jets with a population of 5 million, are you?
Well, we got the resources.
And then when the oil price crashes,
you guys
I
have
didn't
had
mean
40
to go
years
down this.
I don't.
I didn't mean
You
to go
had
down that
40
street
years
tonight.
to treat Alberta with a little bit of fairness and equity, and we're divorcing you. You voted Carney
Okay, well,
in. You made the decision.
then get ready to pay through the nose for those pipelines you want to build, because you're going to be charged a fee. Because then there's nothing in the Constitution that will deal with your pipelines. It's strictly business at that point. So you're just going to be charged
cheaper
straight
than
up
what
fees.
we're paying now. It'll be a lot cheaper than what we're paying now.
I think so.
Down
Do you?
east. Absolutely.
Okay.
Don't hate me because I'm an Albertan first and then a Canadian. You can be both at the same time.
No, you can't.
Ask Dragon what he is.
No, not really,
he's a
John.
Quebecer. He's a Quebecer before he's a Canadian. Ask
Is
him.
that true?
He
Is
admitted
that true, Dragon?
Sorry?
Are you a
If I was
Canadian
a
first
Canadian
or
before a Quebecer?
first?
Always been a Quebecer first, but still.
Yeah,
I
thank
always
you, Dragon.
considered
Thank you for the
myself-
honesty.
So are
Thank
you a
thank you
separate?
for the
Are you a
always
honesty.
consider
separatist? Are you a
myself as a
separatist, Dragon?
Canadian.
Are you a separatist?
I always consider myself as a proud Canadian.
Okay, so then you're not a Quebecer first. You're a Canadian first.
No, he
because you're
said
not
he's a Quebecer
separatist.
first.
Well, he said that, but that's
Well-
not what he means.
Because if he's not a Quebecer first, his family will disown him. He said that 10 shows ago.
Dragon,
But there's French-speaking people in every province. I mean, my wife is French-speaking. She's French-Canadian. Her family's been here for 12 generations, but she's born and raised in Ontario.
yeah.
Well,
Hello.
and good
Yes,
for her,
that's right.
Lori. Wonderful.
But
So
I
what's
mean,
your
you've
point,
got
Lori?
French-speaking people in Alberta too that
Yeah.
that are there, but they still want to hold on to their French-Canadian heritage.
Well, but, okay, so what's your point? I'm an Albertan before I'm a Canadian. Dragon is a Quebecer before he's a Canadian. He's
Well,
admitted
that's then we've got a difference of opinion because I'm a Canadian first.
And I respect you for that, Lori. I have no issue with that. Why do you have an issue with the fact that I'm an Albertan before I'm a Canadian?
Don't have any issue with you at all. I have an issue with you wanting to separate, though.
Mhm.
Why? Because you want my oil money?
Because, John, by being an Albertan first and wanting to separate means that you're not a Canadian pro-Canada at all.
That's because I consider Albertans to be Canadians.
Me too.
Then maybe you should start treating us in a more fair and equitable manner.
Well,
Because we
for
haven't
crying
been
out
so
loud,
far.
John, this is ridiculous. I mean, frankly, this is ridiculous. And all this shit that they're filling your head full of is just ridiculous. You got to
No,
treat
you
us with more
haven't-
respect. Quit being
you
a whiny,
have-
sniveling little.
Rick, you
Jesus.
have a Chatham, Ontario opinion. You've never lived in Alberta. You're
I've
not
been
an
out to
Albertan.
Alberta. Have you ever lived in Ontario, John?
Yeah, I did for 10 years.
Okay. And what's the issue? Why do you feel
Well,
like you're
I
we're
don't
paying
have
too
any
much
issue.
tax?
I don't have
think
any
that
issue.
you think you're gonna get this is gonna make you rich, eh? You
We
think that-
already are rich. We're just stopping the transfer payment money going down
Right.
east.
Well, get ready to pay your fees, man. You
Oh,
think
no
that you think
problem.
this
We've
is
got
going to
more
make
than
you
enough money to
personally
pay
rich?
for that.
You're personally
been
going to get
paying-
rich, are you?
We've been paying for all of Canada, so keep going.
That
We got
is
deeper
just the
pockets than
biggest
you
load
do.
of crap. Ontario contributes just as much or more than Alberta to the national project. It always has, and carried Alberta, as Lori rightly pointed out, and you need to learn your history right through
Oh,
the
we've
Depression.
carried Canada a lot longer than you've carried Alberta. We've
Oh.
paid and paid and paid and paid. How much more do you want?
John, I'm tired of this. This wasn't supposed to be the topic tonight. I'm really tired of it. I just want it to stop. I'm tired of the whining. I'm tired of the disinformation. I'm tired of the lies being told to you guys out there. It
Well,
isn't
who's
true.
whining? Who's
You.
whining?
You whine and whine all the
Oh.
time.
Then don't take my money. Don't cash the check. Send it back.
You did. I
You
don't
don't
recall
want it.
you personally sending many checks lately.
If
Your
you don't
checks?
want the transfer payment money from Alberta, send it back.
I'm still waiting for mine. Is it
Yeah.
in the mail?
Well, is mine in the mail from you, Dragon? What is it,
I
600
don't think I got
billion?
any.
600 billion you've taken out of Alberta? What have we got for it? Nothing but abuse.
Nothing. There's a lot of federal money that flows back into Alberta for everything from
Oh,
highways
there's
to
a lot more
defense.
money flows out of Alberta to Ottawa than ever comes back.
You
And that
guys
goes
are
back 50 years.
so generous. Okay.
Yeah. Well, you guys live in your fantasy world. I'm an Alberta separatist, first and foremost, and an Albertan.
Which means you're not a Canadian. You're a traitor. He's gone.
Well, I didn't mean to go down that road tonight, Rick.
Well, yeah, me either. I'm tired of listening to it. And our friends out in Alberta, our fellow Canadians out in Alberta, are being sold a bill of goods. And because the people who are pushing this separatism, they know full well that if they break Alberta away, that it really paves the way to at least Western Canada becoming the 51st state. If not Alberta, then Saskatchewan, Manitoba, BC, the Western provinces, maybe the whole country. That's what the whole plan is. That's what the objective is here. And that's big US oil money influencing Canadian politics through this oligarchy that has taken hold in the United States. And it won't be the average person, the average Albertan, that benefits from any of this. They won't be any better off. They probably will be worse off in the long run as their resources are exploited by big US corporations. And as much as I always welcome foreign investment when it's done in a constructive and mutually beneficial manner, what's going on right now in Canada with all of this foreign influence that John was rightly pointing out prior to this with regard to the 51st state and even the ostrich farm, he's failing to see that that is exactly what is going on with Alberta separatism out there and has been since the 1970s. It's the U.S. influence over, the oil industry in Alberta that has been the big problem out there. And it's greed that is fueling all of this out in Western Canada and in the United States. And separating from Canada solves nothing for Alberta. It just leaves them more vulnerable because they still need to get the oil to market. You still need the pipelines. They may control the resources at that point, or so they think. You still have to deal with your First Nations issues.
Oh, for sure.
And all of these, who owns what and who has jurisdiction over what, because you still like First Nations. That's a big part of the equation. And so if you want to get your oil out east, you're still going to have to go through Ontario. You're still maybe going to have to go through Quebec. We're talking about trying to get the oil to Tidewater up through Hudson's Bay. So that's a possibility, especially now that they're talking about doing more shipping up through the Northwest Territories and up past Greenland, right? That's why Trump's looking at Greenland. No, this is all BS. This is a big U.S. money with a big information warfare campaign in Canada, trying to shift public perception, and they're fueling this separatist sentiment out there in order to destabilize the whole country. And yeah, I think Trump has absolutely got his sights set on the whole country, and that the separatism is the key to the whole thing. You break Alberta free, and you've split the country in half geographically. Now you've got a whole different set of problems, right? Not just for Alberta, but for all of Canada. Certainly for the Western provinces. Ontario maybe less so. I don't know. We have a lot of resources out here. We could, survive, I guess, out here, and Quebec as well. But we'd be weaker without the West. And the West won't survive independently. If they separate, they'll just be swallowed up by the U.S. Make no mistake. They don't have enough population, 5 million people. They're landlocked. They need to get their goods to market, not just oil, but everything, shipping. What, you're gonna transport all your resources by truck through BC for free? You're gonna or go out east with all your stuff? Like, you're in the center of everything. You need to
Yeah.
cooperate with all the other provinces and or with the United States. You need to trade. So, and if you want to do business around the world, not just with the United States or just with the other Canadian provinces, if you truly want to be an independent country, you need access to the world. And you're locked in the middle geographically of North America, right in the center. You're at the mercy of everybody.
It's a gridlock.
Yes. So you're further ahead
Well,
being part of Canada or the United States, one or the other, I guess. But the United States has not treated Alberta well. They're not paying even market price for oil right now. They take advantage of Alberta every single day. For every drop of oil that they purchase from Alberta, they get it at a discount because they're landlocked. And they want to join that or be more reliant on that. So you're not going to, and the average person, they're not going to be the ones who profit from this. It will be the big oil companies. They'll scoop up the profits, and you might get some jobs out there, as you already have. But don't think that you're going to be any better off, and you're not going to have. If you're an independent country, your costs will escalate exponentially. You'll need your own defense. You'll need your own health care. You'll need everything on your own. You'll be paying for everything. And I'm going to have a tax base of 5 million people. But the resources are there. There's no question about that. But it's not going to be as simple as these people think. Lori?
It might turn to communist more like faster than they think if they become independent. And I fear about that because of the way it could function or the way they will have to make things function in order to make the machine clockwork function well in that country.
I don't know enough about rail lines and highways in Alberta that run north-south, but I know that at one point in time we built a railway right across this country. And that's pretty well how Alberta got settled, isn't it?
Yeah. To tie the country together.
And products moved east and west for a long time before there was ever any thought to things moving north and south.
Yeah.
Now, maybe John's right. Maybe they can build highways and they can build rail lines and they can build pipelines, but I think they're certainly starting from scratch.
How soon we forget, right? It's the oil. I kind of wish sometimes that Alberta had never had the oil boom, that the tar sands hadn't been developed, because this has become a wedge of greed driven into the center of the country, and it's being driven in deeper and deeper every day by these U.S. influencers, politicians, political forces, corporations, and it could quite possibly split the country apart, and it's just greed. The average person is not going to be any better off. I look down at Texas. People say, well, look at Texas is oil rich. So if you want to really compare, just look at Texas. Are the people in Texas, the average Texan, any better off than someone living in Alberta? And I've done the comparisons. And the reality is no. And in many respects, there's a lot more risk. A lot more people fall through the cracks socially. There are pros and cons on both sides, but ultimately, people in Texas are no better off. And there are some booming areas, and there's some areas that are less well off. And there are some very impoverished areas in Texas. I love Texas. I do. I like it down there. But the people are not really better off. I went down there years ago to do a big healthcare series comparing the Canadian and U.S. healthcare systems, and the people in Texas not better off. It's okay if it's for some people, other people have nothing. And there's more, disparity between the rich and the poor, a greater divide. In Canada, there's a little less of that because we have social safety nets. I mean, this is really sad because Canada is worth saving. We are different. We are a country of sober second thought for the United States in many respects as well. We offer, I think, sometimes a little bit more sanity in times of crisis and in times of war, whether it's Vietnam, where sometimes people who didn't want to go fight and didn't want to be drafted, they fled to Canada for protection. When the Iraq War broke out, Canada did not actually become directly involved. We flew some support missions, but we were not boots on the ground in Iraq. Afghanistan, yes, but Iraq, no.
Mm-hmm. And we stayed out of Iraq #2.
Yeah. So the United States needs Canada. We're more valuable to the United States as a separate country, whether you're talking about the Iran hostage crisis, where we helped to get Americans out of Iran because we were Canadians and were able to do that to assist them, or just on the international stage, we're another voice, an ally. And Trump needs to realize that we are more valuable to the U.S. as an ally than just another state. In many
I don't think he realizes that, and I think he just looks at as Canada as a big pile of resources, and he thinks it's here for the taking. And we're certainly experiencing a lot of pressure and this to steer us that way.
Yeah, because it's all about business. It's just about the money. For him being in the White House, he has turned this into an oligarchy, which is very similar to what you have going on in Russia. It is a republic, so is Russia. And you want Alberta to be a republic? Well, there's a reason that people keep saying that they want it to be a republic. And Lori, that's actually ties into why I've shifted my view on this. When people were telling me that, we're saying things like that even years ago. Oh, I think well, what do you want in Alberta? I think we should have a republic. It takes time to realize that a lot of this rhetoric and the things that people say, it's cloaked. They're telling you things that don't really make sense. And when I'm out here, and John's right about this, I am in Ontario, so I have an Ontario perspective on things. I'm not aware of all the politics, I wasn't aware of a lot of the politics going on out in Alberta. I wasn't that familiar with the Alberta Prosperity Project or Wexit. I mean, I was aware of some of the stuff going on, but I wasn't so keyed in on it that I was paying really close attention. But now, with this all ramped up and amped up and amplified, and it's becoming a real threat to the country. Yeah, now I'm tuned in. Now I'm paying attention. Now I'm seeing that the masks are coming off. Now I see that there were a lot of these forces present during the convoy, which I was not aware of before, but it's taken a lot of for me to peel back the layers of that onion and really get to the core of this. And the majority of people, Canadians, do not see it. They're still not paying attention. And these forces in play trying to destroy our country are probably about halfway home, and Canadians still are not aware, the vast majority, because they still think it's a joke. The Tucker Carlson saying he's coming here to liberate us, that was just a joke. Don't take Donald Trump seriously. It's not a real thing. It's just him exaggerating. No, it's not. This is a very real thing. And while John seems to think that Alberta will just separate and be independent, no, John, that is not what this is about at all. That is not what will happen. If you separate and become independent, you will just get swallowed up. Because to survive economically, landlocked the way you are, you will need to make deals. And you know who's going to make that deal? Because you've just separated from Canada. You're going to get absorbed, man. You're not going to be independent in any sense of the word. You can't be. Geographically, it's just not going to work for you.
Well, I certainly believe this country is worth saving from right from Newfoundland through to Vancouver Island, and I've always thought that way, that we were all together, including Quebec, including Alberta, including Saskatchewan, and I sure hope that we're all skating on the same team 10 years down the road, because I really believe that Canada's better days are still ahead of us.
Yeah.
With what we have in the bank, with what we have for resources, with what we have with people here, I truly believe that.
I do too, Laurie. I think Canada's a very special place. We've got our problems, but I think we're very unique in the world, and I think the world needs us. At least the Canada that I know, the Canada that I have in my head, anyway, if it exists.
Well, I think we need each other too, Rick.
Yeah, yeah. We need Alberta, and Alberta needs us. I just think these guys out in Alberta are being sold a bill of goods. To me, Alberta is not just a gas station. It's not just a place to raid the piggy bank. That's not what Alberta is to me. I've never thought of Alberta that way. Donald Trump does. Alberta is part of the national fabric. It's a unique place within the country. They have their own unique culture out there. It's Western Canada. But it makes up this mosaic that we call Canada. And it's invaluable. It is not just because of the resources, but because of the people. Because of the First Nations people out there. All of it. It's what ties us to, and it's a way of thinking. It's our approach to dealing with problems. We're not a nation of conquest. We're a nation of compromise and conciliation. So we get along together. That's why Sir John A. Macdonald wanted the form of government that we have. He didn't want a republic because he saw what happened during the American Civil War and how bloody it was. And he didn't want that here because he saw that form of government led to conflict, to war even. And the United States has been a warring nation. Canada less so. Pulled along with the United States quite often into conflict because we are a Western country and we're so closely aligned and allied with the U.S. But as I say, we're also a country of sober second thought for the United States. We help keep that place sane, in my view. And
well, I hate to hear those thoughts about separation, but I guess that that's in the lap of the people out there, and if they choose to make that choice, that's fine. We'll get down the road, but I certainly don't want to see them off on their own. I've always thought this was one country, and we were going to all stick together and fight down that road.
You know something, Laurie? The very fact that we're having this conversation should tell the people of Alberta why they should stay within the country, because you're allowed to have this conversation in Canada, but in the United States, you can never have this conversation. If you are a U.S. state and you decide that you want to try to leave, it's civil war, because there's no provisions in their constitution that provide a pathway to separation for any state. And if Alberta becomes part of the United States, or if any part of Canada becomes part of the United States as a 51st state, like there's no coming back. The only way out after that is through bloodshed. Like the United States just doesn't provide it. But this also shows that we're a country that listens, we make concessions, we work together, we compromise in order to avoid conflicts and wars.
Yeah. Sedition is a real thing, guys.
So, with that, I'll just throw it to you guys for final thoughts tonight, so we can wrap this conversation up. I'm disheartened. I'm so sad when John talks about this stuff, and it does make me angry because I love my country, and I wish he did too. I wish all Albertans did. It's worth loving and it's worth saving. And I'm going to keep on fighting for it every single night. And I'm sorry, John, but when I call you a traitor, anybody that is a Canadian but is in favor of separation, well, that's an act of treason. You're breaking the country apart. That is an act of treason. But we're so open to different ideas and conciliation that even in the face of that, we let people express their views and even vote in this democracy. Even on that. Dragon, over to you for a final thought, and then we'll throw it to Lori.
Well, I'll say that from the statue of Westminster, sorry guys, my English sucks sometimes. That was signed in 1931, tells me that we are all full autonomous as a country, and we should all rely on each other's. And I'm sorry, my friend John, that I didn't figure out all about journalism, as Alberta probably didn't figure out everything about politics. I'm sorry, my friend. We should probably all go back to school once in a while, because Rick did school us tonight. And I thank you, Rick, for all that.
Lori,
no, I agree to disagree with John, but and I didn't really want to go down this road tonight, but the discussion was very interesting, and we certainly got his opinion. I hope that the rest of Albertans don't feel the same way too. And I just say that I think Canada's worthwhile hanging together, and as I said before, I think our best years are still ahead of it.
I think the country is going to remain together in the end, and I am absolutely pro-Canadian because I am Canadian. And in that respect, I guess I'm editorializing even now, because any opinion is an editorial opinion, I guess, when you're sitting in this chair, but I can't help it. That's my bias, and I have to acknowledge it. Everyone has their own worldview and their own biases, and that's mine. And that's why I'll continue to say the things that I say that are pro-Canadian. And Dragon, you may think you're Quebec first, but if you're a Quebecer and Canadian, but you're not a separatist, then you're automatically Canadian first, whether you like it or not.
Well, I do like it, so I will keep that title.
All right. Thank you, Lori. Thank you, everybody. I'll see everybody back here tomorrow night, 7 p.m. Eastern.
Okay, good night.
On the flip side.
I heard old Cosmo howling last night up on the hill where the moon shines so bright. He was singing a tune, lonesome dogs cry about freedom, running and touching the sky. If I leave here tomorrow, would you still remember me? Cosmo's free, running wild, wild as the wind can be. He's a free dog, he's a free dog, he's a free dog. Cosmo's got them paws that just itch to roam. He's chasing his dreams, he's far from home. With a heart full of love and a spirit so free, he's living his life wild and carefree. If I leave here tomorrow, would you still remember me? Cosmo's free, running wild, wild as the wind can be. He's a free dog, he's a free dog, he's a free dog. He's got the stars in his eyes, the wind in his fur, a breaking all the legs. Now the night's getting cold and the sky's turning gray. The cosmos still out there, he's miles away. He's not looking back, he's got his path to tread. With every step, he's leaving his bed. If I leave here tomorrow, would you still remember me? Cosmos free, running wild, wild as a wind can be. He's a free dog, he's a free dog, he's a free dog. So if you're feeling lost, just think of Cosmos Run. Remember his spirit, his freedom, his fun. And maybe one day, when you're feeling low, you'll find your own freedom and let your spirit go. If I leave here tomorrow, would you still remember me? Cosmos free, running wild, wild as a wind can be. He's a free dog, he's a free dog, he's a free dog. He's got the stars in his eyes, the wind in his fur, a tail that wags like it's never heard of a bird, a heart full of love and a spirit so free. He's living his life wild and carefree. He's got the stars in his eyes, the wind in his fur, a tail that wags like it's never heard a bird. Cosmos on a journey, he's got no chains. He's running through fields, breaking all the legs.
This has been a Maverick Multimedia production.